Good morning, friends, and welcome to New Garden Friends Meeting. It is our practice here at New Garden to extend a wide and warm welcome to everyone who joins us for Meeting for Worship. And the truth is that welcoming is not always easy work because we are all so very different from one another. We have different experiences in life. We have gone through different sorts of struggle and have experienced different pain and different joy. And here at New Garden Friends Meeting, we do the work of meeting one another wherever we find them at. So whoever you are and wherever you are from and wherever you may be on your faith journey, there is a place for you here among friends. Friends, this Sunday, some of us are celebrating. And for those of you who are celebrating and filled with joy, happy Mother's Day. There is a place for your joy and your celebration here among friends. Now, for others in our community, this Sunday is a painful and difficult moment. And so if this is a tender moment for you, or a moment of grief or challenge, there is space for you and your grief or your pain here among friends. You are welcome here, however you are feeling this Sunday. Friends, I would encourage you to greet one another, to share that wide and warm welcome with each other, either in the chat section if you are worshiping on Zoom this morning, or in the comment section on Facebook if you are worshiping through Facebook Live this morning. Or you may be watching the recording of this worship service some other time that is not Sunday. And so now is your opportunity to remind yourself to reach out to another member of our community. Friends, typically at New Garden Friends Meeting, this is one of the Sundays throughout the year when we will often dedicate children or babies in our community. We are not dedicating children this first day because we are still worshiping digitally for our 11 o'clock worship time. Although, as friends know, we now are meeting at 9 a.m. for unprogrammed worship outdoors in person here at our meeting house. I miss very much dedicating children, and normally on this first day, I would have the opportunity to hold the new babies in our community and to introduce them to all of you. But instead of doing our traditional baby dedication, I want to share with all of you a reading about children and their spiritual place. This is a story that is familiar to many of you. It is from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verses 13 through 16. This story appears in several of the gospel accounts, and it's the story of Jesus with the little children. Many people were bringing their little children to Jesus in order that he might touch and bless them. And the disciples spoke sternly to those who were bringing children. But when Jesus saw this, he was indignant, and he said to the disciples, "Let the little children come to me, and do not stop them, for it is to such as these that the kingdom of God belongs. Truly, I tell you, whoever does not receive the kingdom of God like a little child will never enter it." And he took the children up in his arms, and he laid his hands on them, and he blessed each of them. Friends, I would invite you to join me in settling into our time of waiting worship this morning. From our time of silence, I will bring my prepared message this morning. Let us hold our silence together and listen together for that still, small voice of the divine. It is our practice here at New Garden Friends Meeting to welcome and celebrate children into the life of our community. We welcome and celebrate children in part through baby dedications or child dedications. We often do baby or child dedications several times a year, and they can happen on any first day during meeting for worship. But this Sunday is a Sunday that historically often was marked by welcoming children into the life of our community. I hope that very soon we will be able to resume the practice of baby and child dedications. And this Sunday, even though I am not able to hold any babies or dedicate any children, I still want to honor and celebrate the role that children play within our community of faith. The Quaker writer and theologian Rufus Jones wrote this: "Children are far more mystical-minded than their elders ever suspect, and mystics would not be so very rare if we made better use of the culture of silence that lives in the lives of our children." Mysticism, or that spiritual practice of having direct and transcendent experiences of the divine, this does seem to come more easily to some children. I think children have an intrinsic understanding of love. They also understand justice and peace in a way that sometimes adults do not. Children have an intuitive connection to the world around them. I think all of this in part comes from how open-minded children are. They're not afraid of things that are unusual or extraordinary. I think, in fact, that children often see the extraordinary when an adult may just see something that is ordinary. Many 5 or 6-year-olds that I know, when asked if they can find something beautiful in the room that they're standing in, they'll come up with 20 different beautiful things while an adult is trying to come up with one. Many of the 4-year-olds I know are able to articulate profoundly how we connect to God during meeting for worship. In fact, some of the most beautiful images of God that I have ever heard have come from very young children. Children who are 8, 9, 10 years old, they often see the challenges and pain in our world in the way that younger children do not. But although they see that pain and those struggles, they are not fearful in the same way that adults are. And because of this, they often have the wisdom to articulate how we need to change as a community or within our world to address these areas of struggle. I think this is what Jesus meant, this kind of creative, intuitive connection to the world. I think this is what Jesus meant when he encouraged us to receive the kingdom of God like a child. I think he was encouraging us to receive the kingdom of God with awe and with wonder, with flexibility and with open-mindedness. We adults, we try very hard, but it is so easy for us to get set in our ways. Our patterns of thought become less and less flexible as we age. We start to care a lot more about what other people think of us. We adapt to the expectations of the communities that we live in. And I think because we so want to fulfill community expectations, we become a little bit less able to feel wonder and awe. We are very busy as adults. We are so busy, in fact, getting through each day that we often forget. We often forget things like trying to be brave. We forget things like how important it is for us to try new things every day. I am, of course, biased because when I talk about children, I think of my two incredible children and how I am joyfully anticipating the arrival of my third child this summer. But I know for other people my age, folks who are in their 30s who do not have children, they also tell me how much joy and wonder and awe children bring into their lives. I think children can be teachers to all of us, even for those of us who are not parents or caregivers. And this is why we need children within our community of faith. Especially if we do not have children in our lives in other ways, being part of a community of faith offers us a unique opportunity to follow the lead of children. Our society is very age segregated. We are divided by ages. So if you do not have young children of your own, or if your children are not grown and have children that are your grandchildren or great-grandchildren, then you can easily never interact with a child. And the same is true for elders. Our world is so age segregated. If I were not a part of New Garden Friends meeting, the majority of the people in my life would be like me. They would be people in their 30s with young children. I would not get the joy and the benefit of spending time with people who are in their 70s, or people who are in their 80s, or people who are in their 90s. And that would be an incredible loss for me, because the elders in my life have taught me some of the most profound lessons that I have learned. They have taught me how to not sell myself short. They have taught me how to adapt gracefully to changes in my abilities. They have taught me how to find satisfaction even under difficult circumstances. Perhaps most importantly, the elders that I know have taught me how to grieve. And they have taught me how to find joy, even in the middle of painful and difficult circumstances. Welcoming people of all ages, children, elders, everyone in between, into full participation in the life of our community. This is very much the tradition of Quakers. We have always been a community that welcomed the full participation of people at every age. In 1939, a man named Walter Joseph Homan published his dissertation to receive a PhD from Yale University. The dissertation is entitled Children and Quakerism, a study of the place of children in the theory and practice of the Religious Society of Friends, commonly called Quakers. Homan writes on pages 20 and 22 in his dissertation, "We have thus far discovered the place that children held in the life of early Friends, both in the family and within the meeting. And we have shown how thoroughly children were permitted to participate in that life. This was no mere accident of circumstances. This full participation of children was justified in the minds of Friends by the most fundamental and cherished beliefs. Friends believed that children were an heritage of the Lord, and they thought that every child had within him or herself the inner light or the Christ within. By heritage of the Lord, Homan is referring to the idea that children are a gift from God. Homan writes, children belong to the society of friends as fully as do their parents. Here at New Garden Friends Meeting, this is our practice. We do not look at our children and say they are future Quakers. We look at them and we say that they are Quakers. Being a community of faith that involves Quakers of many ages who have many abilities or challenges or strengths, this poses some unique challenges for us as a community of faith, especially within this present moment. Teenagers have begun to be vaccinated against COVID-19. But the majority of the children that are part of our community here at New Garden are unvaccinated. And this will remain true for quite some while. This means that the children in our community are vulnerable in a way that a healthy adult who has been fully vaccinated is not vulnerable any longer. Infants and babies are particularly vulnerable, but we know from all of what has happened in our country over this last year that although children typically do not become as sick from COVID-19, it can still be a serious threat. So this present moment here at New Garden Friends Meeting offers us an opportunity as we move forward in our process of gradually resuming in-person worship. It offers us an opportunity to take into account the needs of the Quakers of every age within our community of faith, and to not create systems that are only safe for some of us. We Quakers, by acknowledging that light that is carried within every person, by acknowledging that light, we honor the fact that we all must move together as a community, that we will leave no one behind, that we will leave no one out. We are a community that strives to be a place of welcome for all. And because of that, we take seriously our need to move together. As I was preparing for worship this first day, I held this image of us being one body, moving together, mindful of the ways that those who are most vulnerable can be protected and cared for. I also thought about how if COVID-19 had not happened to our world, I might be holding our precious newest Quakers this Sunday. And I feel a deep sense of grief and loss that I cannot be doing that this first day. I thought about the promises that we make together as a community of faith when we dedicate a child or a baby. How we promise that we will love that little Quaker, and how we will love and care for the parents and caregivers of that precious child. We make another promise too, as a community of faith. We promise to be examples in how we live our lives. We promise to let our lives speak and to teach that child what it means to be a Quaker through example. So today, although I cannot hold the children in our community and we are not able to sit together in our worship room, I hope that we can recommit recommit to caring for one another and nurturing one another through every season of life. I hope that we can recommit to teaching one another through our lives and through our actions what it means to be a Quaker. May this learning and teaching be work that we all do together, no matter our age. And friends, my prayer for you this first day is that you may go out into the world this afternoon, this evening, and may you find a way to feel some joy and some wonder at all of the small miracles that surround us in every moment. May that be the gift to you this first day, that wonder and joy of a child. May we be encouraged by the words of Jesus to receive the world around us with the eyes of a child. And friends, may you be reminded of the foundational truth of our faith as Quakers. Each of us carries within us that shining light within.